We're live again. It's been a minute. Hello. Hello, hello, Drew. Hey, Alpha's first. Welcome back. Yeah, not just a member stream. Haven't done one of these since probably Dub Dub, I guess. There's just a lot of busyness in the schedule. It's hard to block out time for them. But I was wrapping up some other projects and looked at my watch and was like, hey, wait a second. I've got some time. I look a little loud. I might too low. I might lower my volume just a tad, just so it's not peaking too much. Hey, Connor, how's it going? Yeah, so it's been a while, so I might have to refresh some people's memory. But in case you haven't been to a Tailosive Tech public stream in the past that is not reacting to an Apple event, essentially we kick off the live stream with usually somewhat of a simple topic, or at least a topic I want to get your guys' reaction on in real time. And then from there, you can ask about other things, because it's ridiculous to try to keep the entire live stream for a whole hour focused on one topic. But yeah, Apple launched basically another way to bundle their memberships. Oh boy. there's there's three different Apple devices you can bundle now under Apple Care One, and it's $20 a month essentially. But if you want to bundle further from there, then you can do an additional $6 per device. So if you're the type of, I hate to say it, clumsy kind of person that is known for breaking their devices or losing them somewhat regularly, then Apple Care One might make a lot of sense for some people out there, because before, if you wanted Apple Care Plus for three separate devices, usually it would end up costing you around $25 or $28 a month. Now it's $20. So if you're just like the kind of person that absolutely needs Apple Care and uses it pretty regularly, I would say, yeah, this is probably an easy sign up bonus. But if I'm being honest, I don't think that's most of you. I honestly don't. So that's my only pushback. If I were to do a full-length video, I would likely spin it around at the end and say that most of you probably only get Apple Care Plus on one device, not three. So for me, at least personally, I don't get Apple Care on anything. So in my opinion, this is definitely not worth it, because I just get cases, I get screen protectors, I protect my devices, or I buy the kind of devices that don't break that easily, like my ceramic Series 5 with its sapphire-infused glass. So personally, I don't think it's worth it. I think most likely it's going to convince people by having a lower entry price, because it's Apple Care One at only $19.99. It sounds relatively cheap, so people just think, oh, well, if it's $20 a month, I might as well cover all of my devices. So this could cover your phone, iPad, and Apple Watch, or phone, Mac, and AirPods, or something like that. But the truth is, it's likely convincing a lot of you guys to get Apple Care on devices you wouldn't have got Apple Care on. What's going to happen to your AirPods, really? How often do you destroy your AirPods or your Mac? Really, it lives in your bag, and then you move it to your desk. Is that the kind of thing that you need to make sure you protect it so ever so carelessly? Carefully? Sorry. My wife texted me something. I'm just making sure I understand her correctly. Yeah. So this is not going to be one of those crazy all day long streams, by the way. I'll probably have to wrap up in about an hour. But until then, ask away. I left out my Apple Watch because... Shut up. Why do you keep talking? Oh, Vincent says this is for Grandma. Okay. Yeah, Grandma who breaks things. I get what you're saying now. Biggest deal breaker is that it cannot be shared with a family account. Yeah, that's kind of a bummer. I missed that part. Alpha says, I hardly ever drop my stuff, and I've only gotten Apple Care that one time I shattered my iPad Air. Yeah, personally, I think the most cost-effective, safest thing to do is just take good care of your tech. It's not like I never go outside. I film with my phone outside all the time. I travel a lot, and somehow I've made it this far in life with never once damaging my iPhone display. So if I can do it, and I'm an idiot, I'm a clumsy guy, you can do it too. So I would still say, just take good care of your tech. But if you accept defeat and just say, no, Drew, that's impossible, I'm going to break my tech, there's no way around it. If you just have accepted that as a certainty that tech will be destroyed, okay, Apple Care One, pretty good deal, I guess. Nice of Apple to bundle it, but probably just going to convince you to pay for coverage on things that you're not going to use. I don't think they would offer this if they thought that you were going to break all three devices routinely. Let's see. Just shattered my 16 Pro Max back. Right as we were talking about that. If the 17 Pro is a decent enough upgrade, I'll hop over or just the Apple Care and replace it. That's the other thing. I know a lot of people that get Apple Care Plus intentionally so that they can destroy their devices and get a replacement. You do you. It's your life. If you want to live it that way, you can do that. However, I just want to push back a little bit because sometimes the narrative is, well, I just destroy this device and then I get a brand new one for free. And it's like, yeah, I just break it. When I'm done at the year, I just smash my phone and then I get a free one. It's not free. You are paying for Apple Care Plus. Okay? Like, maybe it's $10 a month, maybe it's 20. But sure, it might be cheaper than buying a whole new brand new one, but it is not free. Okay, and for one, it's also kind of wasteful. Aside from deals and value, if my AirPods were reliably breaking within 6 months, I would find a different product. Yeah, exactly. That would be super frustrating. Thank you, Michael. Michael gets my point. Hey, Nicholas is there in the chat. Immediately switched over to the new Apple Care one for my iPad, iPhone, and my MacBook, and I immediately got a refund for my prior yearly Apple Care subscription for a total of $260. Wow, that's a pretty good deal. Good choice for you. I guess that makes sense. If you're definitely going to get Apple Care, this is fair. I just wish Apple would hurry up and come out with an actual Apple TV television with tvOS instead of the box. I wish I could say there were rumors suggesting that was coming, but it's not. I'm sorry, haven't heard anything about it. Any rumors that the next iPad Pro will get 12 gigs of RAM? If so, I think it will happen. I think 12 gigs is needed for Apple Intelligence. I don't think Apple knows what Apple Intelligence needs, personally. They can't get Apple Intelligence to do anything impressive when it has 256 gigs of RAM. So, I don't know. There hasn't been a lot of rumors to suggest it, but I believe if you get an iPad Pro with a terabyte of storage or more, it already comes with 16 gigs of unified memory. So I guess it wouldn't be that big a stretch for them to make the jump to 12 on the base models, I assume, is what you're asking. So, yeah, I mean, it's possible, but nothing has alluded to that. It really comes down to the M5 chip. Do they want to make an M5 chip that still has 8 gigs of unified memory? I hope not. I hope it's 12. In 13 years, I've only dropped my phone one time where it broke. AirPods replaced. Do recall not working to set. I was out of luck. Whew. Out of luck. My grandpa just went from iPhone 7 Plus to 16 Plus. Wow. Congrats, Connor, and thank you for 34 months of support. Very generous of you. That's a long time. I think an Apple TV stick is more probable than an Apple television. Unfortunately, neither are rumored at this point. It's looking like more boxes. Actually, there's more evidence that they might make a box with a camera on it than there is they'll make a stick or a dedicated TV. But I have some exclusive info. The TV behind me is just nothing. It's a Samsung TV. Sorry. Just wanted to excite you. Don't you still have to pay $29 to fix the back if you have Apple Care 1? Yeah, I believe you have to pay something, but it's substantially less. I think if you didn't have Apple Care 1, it would be hundreds of dollars, and with Apple Care, it's like $30. You liking that rumored orange little color of the 17 Pro? No, and I've seen it before. It looks like the exact same color. Sorry, I don't have my screen share thing set up. The orange color that's rumored for the 17 Pro looks exactly like the orange copper color that was rumored for the iPhone 10 back in the day, and it didn't happen. It never actually came to fruition. So the colors are something that I feel like year after year, the leaks and rumors always get it wrong. So that's why I'm very hesitant to trust any of them. So my guess is the colors are wrong, aside from white or black. Maybe there's a light blue or something, but I would just expect, what do they call it? Desert aluminum. Wow. Wow. Alpha says, I need your best reaction possible. I just spent $1,900 on an M4 iMac. Ah! Sorry. Did that scare everybody? I'm a little upset anytime I hear the word iMac and M4 in the same sentence. Did you hear anything about the iPhone Fold? Supposed to be really small. Yeah, there was a report. I think we'll talk more about it next week. This is going to be my last tech content of the week because I have to get going right after this. I'm literally like driving as soon as this stream ends. But I think the rumored dimensions were something like the foldable iPhone, which sounds like it's really happening now. I mean, it's definitely not confirmed, but multiple sources are all reporting the same things. It's looking pretty likely at this point. But they said the outside screen is going to be 5.5 inches, so even smaller than the iPhone 10 display. And then when unfolded, it would be 7.8 inches, which is the same screen size as the older iPad mini, not the redesigned iPad mini we got a few years ago. But like the iPad mini 5 and the iPad mini 4, those were 7.9 inches. So we're talking pretty much the same screen size as a mini iPhone when folded up, and then iPad mini when unfolded, which sounds great. I like that because I wanted the mini iPhone to stick around, partly because I thought the price was really compelling, but now that I learned it might be very expensive to get a mini iPhone, so be it. Whatever I gotta pay, I just want a small phone. They should make an iPhone with only the outside display and call it iPhone mini. What an idea! How could they do such a thing? Just take the mini iPhone, we get the iPhone Fold, and we never unfold it. Problem solved. Beautiful. We've been wanting an orange iPhone for years. I know that's true. Am I bringing back EV streams? I don't know. It's hard to... Honestly, it's hard to make time for these streams in the first place. So if you want to ask EV questions on this stream, I'll try to answer them. That's fine. Just consider this my general rare Tailosive live stream. Because there's not a lot of them, but... Ooh. So yeah, I probably don't want to dive too deep into this, but yes, there has been a lawsuit filed against John Prosser of Front Page Tech, and if you read into the filings, it does sound like there was certainly some shady things going on. But I mostly just feel bad for Ethan more than anything. Just because he lost his job, and I knew him from way back in the day, and doesn't really seem like he did anything wrong for the most part. So I don't know the ins and outs. John's denying that the claims made by the case are true. So it's another classic case of they said this or they said this. I don't know. I really don't want to get too involved with it because I really don't know much more than you guys do. But yeah, I feel bad for the people involved, and I hope that there's some kind of fair settlement reached by it because, yeah, it seemed like a shady situation, and especially Ethan. I feel horrible for Ethan because I haven't spoke to him recently, but years and years ago he worked on a Tailosive app when we were trying to make an app a real thing. And we couldn't get the logistics of hosting the videos working or figuring out how to monetize it properly. So ended up not really going anywhere. But just for the few months that I did get to work with him on the app, he was just a super pleasant, really fun to talk to guy. And I don't like the way it ended for him. I wish he could have kept his job at Apple, basically. But anyway, there's not much more to say about it. I'm an outsider. I haven't talked to... I know of everybody pretty much involved, but I haven't spoken to anybody involved in the lawsuit. I haven't talked to John Prosser in over 3 years now, I believe. So it's been a while. But Nicholas, thank you for 24 months of support. You're an Apple tech YouTuber and news reporter, but I feel like it's time for somebody new to get into the leaking game to be Daddy Cook's next victim. Oh, God. I was trying to keep it so professional, and you just went so... joking with it. Yeah. Yeah, so I do think there was likely some things that shouldn't have been done on multiple parties' accounts. I think I'll mostly leave it at that, but I don't want to get too involved. I don't like drama at the end of the day. Let's just say there's a lot of drama in Prosser's history. And a lot of it has nothing to do with Ethan, and a lot of it has to do with render artists and reimbursement. And it gets messy, and there's a lot to dive into there. But I don't want to turn this channel into a drama report. I want to talk about the tech stuff. So if at all possible, I'd love to keep it on that. But anyway, I'll read this one because it's a super chat. But Virus says, how is John Prosser feeling after he got caught by Apple, and do you think he's done with his YouTube channel? I couldn't tell you. Haven't spoken to him in years. He's denying the accusations that the lawsuit is making. Again, trying to keep it surface level. I'm not sure why Apple would make things up. Maybe they're tired of the leaks in the community reporting on things before they're out, and maybe they're looking for an excuse to silence him. I don't know, but I just think the people involved know what happened more than I will, so it'd be kind of pointless for me to speculate on it. And the jury will decide. I obviously could not serve on that jury. I would be very biased. I know everybody involved, and they do not want that whenever there's a trial. So I don't know what is going to come of it, but I know that Apple, they've got some good lawyers. I know that. They can afford a lot of lawyers for sure, and I would definitely not want to be on the receiving end of trillion-dollar company's lawsuit. That's for sure. And I don't know what their motivation is. Like, my personal prediction, I feel like Apple doesn't need money. They're a very rich, wealthy company, so I don't think they would be going off after John for damages. I don't know. Maybe they are, but I would have strong suspicions that if they were going after Front Page Tech in general, they would want some kind of settlement that involves not being able to cover Apple leaks in some way. But yeah, I definitely think everybody in the community, especially people who talk about Apple leaks, should pay close attention to that case just to see what kind of precedent is set, because it could very well mean that we have to be a lot more careful with how we report on leaks. Like, just so everybody's clear, I do not have sources within Apple. I mean, I know people, I am friends with people that work at Apple, but they have never told me anything, and I've never asked them to tell me anything, nor have I ever offered them anything in exchange to tell me about some unreleased product. So I only report on what others have already said. Maybe that's why the Tailosive Tech channel's not that big compared to others, because we don't have our own sources here. So we just don't, even if sources from Apple reached out to me and said, hey, like, Apple's going to do this or Apple's going to do that, I'm like, don't tell me any of it. I just report on what Mark Gurman has reported. So if Mark Gurman reports on something, or 9 to 5 Mac sometimes gets exclusives, Mac Rumors can get exclusives, Majin Buu on Twitter gets exclusives, as Ming Chi Kuo. There's many reputable, consistent sources that cover unannounced. Ross Young is another one, especially with displays and supply chains. I just report on what they have said, but they are not within Apple. They are communicating with people within Apple and then sharing publicly. I don't even pay to access like early leaks or something like that, because I feel like that helps cover me and kind of keeps me clean and that kind of thing. But yeah, there could be a lot of precedents then, for sure, by what happens with this lawsuit. So I'll be watching it closely. But is it only illegal to leak news if you pay for the leaks? I don't know the ins and outs, but I do think that, yeah, in general, there is some much more damaging case. There is a much more liable case when you can follow a paper trail that says you offered to pay or paid someone in order to leak certain information. Or yeah, I mean, I don't want to make the whole stream about that, but if you look into the lawsuit and read what the claims are, it's pretty shady. It's a bit more than just asking someone for some information. But we'll see. Let's see. Have you ever been involved in leaking something, or have you only covered leaks? Pretty much only covered leaks. I think someone from Rivian in the early days told me a little bit about the Adventure Network, and I may have reported that before it was announced, but not. I don't really leak things myself. No. Anyway, we can move on. That's fine. What would it take for you to get an Apple Vision Pro and keep it? Lower price, lower weight, both? I don't actually think it was a pricing problem. I feel like I kind of covered that in my review of Apple Vision Pro. The price would be okay, honestly, even at $3,500 if it had enough use cases and functionality to justify it. If it could literally become my last display, and I use that instead of my phone, and I use that instead of my MacBook monitor, and I use that instead of my TV, it could be this ultimate portable giant screen that I take everywhere I need to. I could justify that price point, but yeah, I would say it needs to have a lot more utility. It has to have a lot more functionality, and yes, it would certainly help a lot if I had a much more comfortable headset that I could put on and wear for hours and hours. Yes, that was an issue with the existing Apple Vision Pro. Is it's kind of clunky, it's kind of heavy, not super comfortable to wear for extended periods, and worse than that, even though you can get third-party straps that make it a bit more comfortable. I don't think I could make the external battery pack work. I would want the battery to be integrated so I don't have a wire hanging out of it if I'm going to use it all day. But no, it's a bit of a hot take. I know a lot of people think it just needs to get cheaper. I personally, at this stage, I wouldn't buy an Apple Vision Pro for $1,000 or $800 even. I know for a fact, even if it was $500, even if you gave me one, it would most likely sit on my desk and collect dust. Because it's just too impractical, it's too heavy, and there's not enough use cases for it yet. But over time, I firmly believe it could get much lighter, it could get much more powerful, and there could be a lot more apps developed for it that make it something I could end up using for hours and hours a day. But right now, very gimmicky, very much a party trick. I would probably use it once a week when I'm trying to entertain company, but that's about it. I leaked the 6% cash back promo on the MacBook Pro. That's right. That I kind of reported on that before anybody else did. I was like, hey, why did I get 6% here? But sorry. I don't know. I'm a big fan of Red Letter Media, but I don't know what you're getting at, Top Maverick. I'm sorry. It was kind of off topic, which is why I wasn't answering it, but sorry. Do you know people at Apple who have enough influence there and could possibly bring back the iPhone mini? No, I don't know people at that level. What EV would you get today that's not a Tesla? Oh, there's plenty. I'm actually somewhat interested in the Mach E, and I'll rope this into Tailosive Tech because of CarPlay. So like Jonah saying here, I had a friend who today actually learned Tesla doesn't have CarPlay and asked me, what is the big screen for then? Honestly, he has a fair point. Like, we kind of live on our phones. We use these phones for so many things. I don't think it's that unreasonable to expect, like, hey, I want to get in a car and be able to keep all of these settings and all of these apps that I use on a daily basis onto the display in my car. I thought a little bit about what EV we would buy because I recently had a high voltage, like the big battery, went bad in our Model Y. Thankfully, it's under warranty, so we got it replaced, and they actually replaced it extremely quickly, which was nice. And it was totally free. We didn't have to pay anything for it. So we got a whole new-ish battery pack. It is a remanufactured pack, so it's not at 100% health. It's at like 90%. But we got a whole new battery pack, new to us, within like 8 hours, which was kind of impressive how quickly they could swap it. But it did make me think, okay, eventually this battery pack is probably going to go bad outside of warranty. And when that day comes, what would we get? And there's a lot of decent options coming out now, especially as the supercharger network is opening up. Yeah, I mean, I don't know of a single vehicle that has had 0 recalls, but I have followed someone who drove their Ford Mach-E like 250,000 miles and had very little service with it. But I'm mostly interested in the fact that they're one of the very, very few crossovers on the market that has an LFP battery pack, which for those who don't know is a less energy dense but more stable battery. You can charge it to full as much as you want. And The Mach-E gets pretty good efficiency, and I'm a big iPhone guy, as you guys know. I'm a big Apple guy, and the Mach-E is one of the very few EVs on the market that actually supports EV route planning through Apple Maps, which is really cool. As your phone wirelessly syncs with the car, you have CarPlay and you have Apple Map support. When you plug in a destination, the car is able to share the state of charge of the battery pack with your phone, and then it will automatically stop and tell you where to charge, and you can select which networks you want it to prioritize, which chargers you want to go to. I've watched a few tutorials on how it works, and I don't know, to me it looked really cool, and definitely not as clean or as elegant as a Rivian user interface. I love Rivians, or as Lucid. I'd probably buy a Lucid before a Rivian, if I'm being honest. It's just Lucids are kind of pricey, but I would probably go used if I really were in the market. Right now, we're pretty happy with our cars. Both of them are holding up well and performing well, so we're just going to keep driving them until they don't drive. But when we're in the market again, we'll see what's on the market. It's probably going to be a while because our car is still under warranty. So even if the battery went bad a second time, if it's under 120,000 miles, we'd still get a free replacement. But once it's over 120,000 miles and then the battery pack goes bad, we'll see. I would be super interested in a Rivian R2 with an LFP battery pack. That would be kind of the dream, just because I love their software and I love their styling. Their utility and the off-road performance of the R2 is great. But if I had to buy one right now, LFP Mach-E, that would probably be my choice. But obviously, I'd prefer a vehicle with NACS. But I'm kind of leaning more towards getting an LFP battery pack, just because I've road tripped with a normal NMC battery pack, and then I've road tripped with an LFP, and I found the LFP far more enjoyable because the charging curve is so good, and you can charge it to full as much as you want, which is cool. Hey, there's Will from Open Sauce. It was great to meet you. I was wondering if you would tune in, but yeah, I am doing well. Thank you. I hope you liked the text we sent yesterday. But Will, you were a blast. So thank you for stopping by the Teletrucks booth. Let's see. Seen a report talking about the next Samsung Galaxy Edge series phone. They're looking to make it even thinner to compete with Apple. One report I said it will be just barely 5 millimeters. I've heard about that. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm having a hard time getting excited for thin phones. I don't know why. It's just like I use my phone a lot, I guess, and the weight and the thickness. Maybe it's a problem that I don't realize I need solved, but at least right now I use my phone a lot. I don't find it heavy. I don't find it thick, and I have a case on it. I would rather battery efficiency and packaging go towards letting the phone do more instead of do the same things but with a weaker battery life and with a worse camera and with worse speakers. So I know Samsung's working on a thin phone. Who knows? Google will probably cook one up in the next year or two. But I just don't. Maybe everyday consumers would be a lot more interested in it. Like my mother would be probably a prime target because she complains all the time about how heavy her phone is, and she keeps saying, I really wish I could have a lighter phone, but I want the big screen. So when I hear her complain, I'm like, okay, maybe an iPhone Air would be perfect for someone like my mom. She's not doing any kind of super intense videography and photography, and she doesn't need the longest battery life in the world. But that's the thing. It will harm battery life. Like, I know for a fact you can't make it lower weight and super thin without compromising on something. Otherwise, these phones wouldn't be as thick as they are. So the only way you can get it thinner and lighter is to compromise it. Even if the chips get more efficient, even if you make more efficient modems, it's like you still could put in a bigger battery in the same size design and boost it instead of... It's all compromised, but I just think the thin Air phones are compromising in ways that aren't that interesting to me. I don't know. Maybe... To be honest, I feel more comfortable now with my video saying I'm not upgrading to the iPhone 17 because some of you were like, well, wait a minute, Drew, what about your wife? What if she wants to upgrade? And I'm like, okay, I never said my wife wouldn't get the iPhone 17 because she oftentimes is complaining about the storage on her phone. She keeps saying, Drew, never give me a 128 gig iPhone again. Like, She was on an iPhone 10 and it was getting old and slow. But one thing she loved about the iPhone 10 was it did have 256 gigs. And now that she's downsized to 128, she fills it up all the time and that causes all kinds of problems. So she's constantly having to delete things. So I was like, you know what? If we do get an iPhone this year, I'm going to keep my 16 Pro Max because I still think this is honestly overkill for me. I probably could have kept that 15 Pro and kept going. But there's a, not a guarantee, but there's a small chance that if we get an iPhone 17, it would probably go to my wife so that she could get one with more storage. So I'll just make sure when we pre-order one, we get 256 or 512, and maybe we'll trade in her 15 Pro. I don't know. We'll see how she's feeling about it, and we'll see what the state of the channel is and what people are kind of excited about. But yeah. Coming from the beginning of the stream, I actually find it interesting for the Mac, iPhone, and iPad, but I've lost Apple Care Plus coverage for my 15 Pro Max. I don't understand why I can't just get it again. That is weird. Wonder why they wouldn't let you. My mom's irritated that the home button has been phased out. She'll be able to get away with using the SE3 for a while, but this is the last hurrah. Yeah, my grandma's the same way. She's 85. So, at that age, you don't really want to relearn how to use your phone, so I don't blame her. But yeah, she's on a 7 Plus, and she doesn't want to go any smaller. So we could give her an 8 Plus, but that's not really a huge upgrade anyway. So apparently the S25 Edge is selling like garbage, so we'll see how long Samsung sticks with this. It does kind of feel like a fad to me. I've been wrong before, though. I did that video recently about how I was wrong about foldables. I've been wrong about a lot of things. But to give myself a little bit of credit, there have been some fads that did not stick around that I totally saw from a mile away, like the edge display, the screens going over the side and curving. I was like, it's not very functional. There's not really much of a point to that. I don't see why they will keep doing that. And of course they stopped doing that because they realized it wasn't better and there wasn't really many advantages to it. There's other things like phones that are curved, like naturally, like just like they thought it would make it more comfortable in your hand or it would be better for viewing distances with your eyes or something. There were a few phone companies that tried to do that, or LG had a lot of crazy ideas with phones with two screens that would kind of pivot upward and then you'd have a keyboard and a landscape display. I was like, yeah, that's not going anywhere, and then of course it didn't. So you only remember the ones that took off, right? But yeah, some of them didn't take off, of course. Apparently, you can only get Apple Care Plus under a specific amount of days since you purchased the device, 60 days. Oh, interesting. Okay. Isn't the iPhone 17 making a jump to 12 gigs of RAM enough to sway you? Yeah, the RAM. That's so important on my phone, right? No, honestly, I would rather save my money for the folding phone. With a glass rectangle, I don't really need much more RAM, but if I started being able to do split screen multitasking, maybe more RAM would actually have a purpose. Yeah, the Note phones, those were great, weren't they? I can use a 5-year-old phone and be perfectly happy. Yeah, sure. I can too, but I also use my phone a lot for work, so I wanted something that was pretty snappy and had Type-C because that just kept coming up in my line of work. I was like, yep. I mean, I record a lot of videos on my phone, so not just for Tailosive, but also for my job. Sorry, I'm trying to tone down the name dropping because I could see a lot of people were getting annoyed with it. They were like, Drew has to bring up that he works at a real job every 2 seconds. I'm not trying to. It's just on this channel I talk about how I use technology in my daily life. So I'm sorry. I kind of have to bring up the application. So if it makes you feel better, I'll just say my job. I just got iOS 26 public beta on my phone, and it just got laggy so much that I want to go back now, wondering if it's just the beta thing or the final OS will be this laggy too. Yeah, you're making me a little nervous because as soon as I saw the liquid glass stuff, I was like, well, that's going to be a battery hog. There's just way more graphics and way more rendering and animations going on than before. So that's probably going to chew into battery life. So I did not install the beta. I am still very much on iOS 18. And to be honest, I'm not that excited to upgrade to iOS 26. I was never a fan of the liquid glass thing. I always just felt like it was change for the sake of change. And I am worried that even the public non-beta launch is not going to go very well. I'm worried that it's going to eat into my battery life, and it's going to make my phone overheat and just add a lot of complexity that doesn't need to be there. That's what I'm worried about. I'm sorry. I'm just, maybe it'd be different when I was younger, but at this age, I just don't care about the UI and the buttons looking more bubbly. Even if it looks great, I don't really care. It's like, does this negatively impact my battery life? If yes, then I don't want it. Like, I use my phone as so much of a tool now. I don't go to my phone when I'm bored. I'm using my phone because I have to. So I would rather it be as clean and as efficient as possible. But I love liquid glass because now my iPhone looks a lot less like a toy. Just trying to understand how a more bubbly user interface makes it feel less like a toy. To me, the bubbles and the way the light refracts off of the buttons, that seems more toyish to me. To me, that seems like, wow, the graphics. 12 gigs of RAM is for liquid glass. That's great. So they're going to install iOS 26 on my phone, which is going to severely tank the battery life and make it laggier and overheat easier. So to fix it, I'll need to buy a new phone to up the RAM to get it to how it's acting now. Maybe I just won't install iOS 26. Could we start that trend? Do not install the new iOS. Just stay on iOS 18 as long as possible. Maybe. Hey, thank you for the super chat, Jonah. He asked a question about Apple Music. He says, when you resub to Apple Music, it deleted your library. Did it also delete your replay playlist? Do you think Tesla might add CarPlay as the demand lever? I feel like they haven't so far. I don't see that changing anytime soon. It's probably a big fundamental thing. Same thing with Rivian. If they wanted to add it, they would have added it by now. And they seem to have like a fundamental principle thing against it. But yeah, I don't. It's been so long, I don't remember the replay playlist. But yeah, I pretty much wiped out everything. So I got, for those who don't know, I got like a 3-month random Apple Music free trial, which was weird because I didn't buy anything. I just randomly opened the settings app and it was like, accept 3 months of Apple Music. Okay. And I go in there and still, like, it erased all of the music I had added from the last time I had Apple Music, which I was like, if you want to win me over, Apple, that's not a great way to do it. Like, you should leave all the music there, you know? That way I don't have to rebuild the library from scratch. So now I just honestly haven't even used it that much. I just go back to YouTube Music because it has all the more recent songs and it has the library in the way I like. Apple Music is the best music app. I agree, but I still use YouTube Music. I just don't think it's worth paying the extra money when YouTube Premium, I think, is a far better deal than Apple Music. But that's probably because I watch more YouTube than anything. I'm a YouTube addict. I watch it on my TV. I watch it on my phone. I watch it on my desktop. It's just, YouTube is just so helpful for educational videos. It's good for entertainment. It's good for quick, funny videos. It's good for long, in-depth videos. There's just basically an unlimited amount of content you can watch on there. So I'm going to pay for YouTube Premium. It's like, to me, it's a non-negotiable, and it throws in YouTube Music. So I'm like, okay, that's one membership that covers all of my basic video watching, and it gives me a music app that's pretty good. It's not horrible. YouTube Music has come a long way. In the early days, it wasn't very good, but they've improved it a lot since then. And I still agree Apple Music is better. It has the better bitrate. It has the better user interface. But I just don't think I value the user interface. The truth is, I don't spend a lot of time navigating my music app. Most of the time, I spend a couple, maybe even less than a minute using my music app. I open it, have a couple of my playlists there, and I hit play. Or I open an album and then hit a specific song I'm craving. So that's like 3 taps. I'm getting like 3 taps in, and like, yeah, the Apple Music app has the superior 3 taps, but as clean and as cool looking as it is, I don't think it's worth spending an extra $11 a month on, just because, I don't know, Maybe at this stage of life, I don't see the point because I don't spend that much time listening to music. I'm spending a lot of time editing and on the phone, and so only time I really listen to music is in the car, and then I'm using the built-in Tesla UI, and they have YouTube Music support, so I just tap it and hit play, and it remembers where I left off. So as soon as I get in the car, it starts playing again. So it's just an extra membership for very, very little payoff. I would hardly even get the Apple Music UI because most of the time I'm just in the car when I'm listening to music, not on my phone. Apple Music doesn't have toothbrush AI covers. That's why YouTube Music is superior. Thank you. Raptor Buddy gets it. Yeah, there's a bunch of remixes and stuff that you can't get on Apple Music that you can get on YouTube Music. So, let's see. As much as iPhones with teens may be a cult following, a group of friends were messing around with me because I'm on the Apple Music family plan. Them with iPhones with telling me I need Spotify. I thought they were getting kind of neck and neck. Wasn't Apple Music coming close to overtaking Spotify or something? Maybe for paid members. I keep forgetting Spotify has a free tier, but I just hate ads. I think everyone pretty much hates ads, but there's a ethical and unethical way to get rid of them. Am I still paying for premium connectivity? I have Tesla credits, but yes. So I'm not really paying for them, but I'm not really paying for it, but I do have premium connectivity. I don't think I would pay for premium if it was real money, but because I have Tesla credits, I spend them on that because it doesn't cost that much, and we have a decent amount of credits because I've referred a lot of people. Jesus says, I used to work at Apple. The reason I left is I just hate that kind of hypocrisy. We care about the user experience and privacy. Here's your ads and your settings. An ad in your setting. Oh, I see. Well, I mean, it doesn't take much data collection to put an ad in settings for a membership, but I get your point. There's a lot of hypocrisy that goes on. I thought you were going to reference the Siri recording thing because there were many times I remember very vividly where Apple was paying for billboards to go up where they talked about how what happens on your iPhone stays on your iPhone. Your iPhone is private. It's never listening to you. And then they were literally caught sharing audio recordings from Siri with third parties that were manually reviewing them. So it was like, okay, you basically just literally lied to everybody with those billboards. So yeah, they've certainly been caught. And that was a convicted thing. That was not an accusation. They pled guilty to that. How do you feel about listening to podcasts on the YouTube Music app? I haven't as much. I usually just use the podcasts app because it's pretty clean and it's free. So I know you can, but I don't know. Sometimes it's just easier for it to be in its own app for some reason. I guess I'm not sure why, but let's see. I just became a new channel member. I really like your exclusive behind the scenes videos. Very relaxing, awesome content. Keep it. Oh wow, thank you, CM51. That's very kind of you. Yeah, I'm sorry I haven't been able to do as many members only streams. It's just been very, very busy lately, but when I can, I will. I was about to do one today, but I was just like, you know what? It's been like a month, and I don't even know if the Apple Care 1 video was worth filming and editing one because it was going to be probably like a 3-minute video. And I was like, well, I could do a 3-minute video and then talk to the channel members for an hour, or I could just talk to everybody for an hour. Haven't done that in a while, so I figured, yeah, let's do it. Spotify's the most expensive and has the worst sound quality. Fair. My wife still uses Spotify Premium, I believe, but she doesn't seem to complain much about it. It's crazy that Spotify's become objectively worse over the past 5 years. Yikes. Drew made it into the top 100 podcast. I don't think so. I don't believe so. My dream music streaming app would be Spotify from 10 years ago with Apple Music sound quality. Yeah, it's a good thing I'm not an audiophile because honestly, I listen to everything on YouTube Music and I think it sounds great. And I even switched to Apple Music briefly because of this free trial they offered. And I gotta tell you, I cannot tell the difference in the bitrate. I genuinely can't. Maybe I'm not using the right headphones. I mostly listen into the car, but our car has a pretty nice premium audio system. And even when streaming between YouTube Music and Apple Music, they sound the same. Same songs. I played them back to back, and there's really not much here for me to compare. No, I did not update to Liquid Glass. Little typo there, Daniel. Sorry. but Apple Music is more expensive than Spotify. I think it depends on the tier, but I just know if you're gonna pay for YouTube Premium, then YouTube Music is absolutely the best value. But if you don't pay for YouTube Premium, yeah, then it's kind of a debate between Spotify or Apple or I haven't heard much about Prime Music these days, but a lot of people have Amazon Prime, and that includes music streaming. So I think if you'd listen to trash pop music like me, you can't really hear the advantages of the higher bit rate. That's true. I do listen to crappy pop music all the time. All of the generic, like, this is what the kids are listening to, like, Drew, you're too old for that music, or you're too white for that music. that's the kind of garbage I listen to. The kind of thing that if I rolled my window down and you heard it, you'd be like, "Oh, Drew, stay in your lane." That kind of thing. Sound quality isn't something that could win me over. The only reason my friends would like me to switch is so it could be easier for us to share songs back and forth. Oh, well, at least you have friends that want to share music with you. I don't think I have that. Oh, that's not true. My buddy Ross sent me a Spotify link the other day, and I was like, "Huh, I don't want to open Spotify." I've had YouTube Premium for years, so going back to adverts would be hard. Oh, yeah, I notice it immediately if I ever use a computer that I'm not signed in on, and I pull up YouTube. I'm just like, how do people live like this? How do you put up with the ads? I'm not endorsing ad blockers. I'm just saying I think that's a membership that's worth it. I get that we're in trying financial times, but if you're struggling month to month financially, you know, probably need to focus on the big picture things, what your biggest expenses are. Most of the time for people, it's going to be like eating out or buying drinks, any kind really. Alcohol is expensive, but even sugary coffee drinks are expensive that you get at Dutch Bros or Starbucks and that kind of thing. So just cutting out the eating out goes a long way. That's going to probably cut out more like hundreds of dollars a month instead of worrying about the $10 memberships. But they can stack up. If you've got 15 $10 a month memberships, then yeah, you got to be careful. But what do you think about the John processor? I've never heard of that processor. Do you think he's going to get it, the lawsuit from Apple? Well, it looks like it, but we kind of talked about it earlier. I don't have much to add on it because I haven't talked to anybody involved in years, and I don't know much more than what's already been published. So can't stand the ads. I click on a video and the first thing is politics. Yeah, great. By the way, my iPhone 13 mini with iOS 26 developer beta and battery just cuts down in half. Yikes. You're scaring me. Everybody's making me nervous. I genuinely, this might be the first year that I don't install the new iOS. I'm going to wait. I might wait to see how everybody responds when it comes out. My friends convinced me to get YouTube Premium, and OMG, I could never go back. It's really the best. It's super helpful on flights, too. I use it a lot. I'm going to be traveling outside the country soon. You'll find out soon enough, but I like to make it a little bit of a mystery. So we're going to be leaving the continent, and we have some big flights coming up. And whenever there's a big flight, I download a bunch of videos that I want to watch, and then I basically, without having to pay for Wi-Fi on the plane, which a lot of people will pay $7 or $10 for on like a 4-hour flight, I last few flights I was on, I downloaded some videos right before takeoff, and I did not run out of content. I had something to watch the entire way, which was awesome. And you didn't have to worry about it buffering because it's already there and downloaded, and just kept me entertained because most of the in-flight entertainment usually sucks. Like, here's a bunch of crappy movies. It's like, no, I just want to watch my favorite YouTubers, you know? Wayne Douglas says, I work at an Apple store. Apple Care One has definitely been interesting today with all the changes, but a good deal, especially for Apple. Yeah, I think I would agree with that. Unless you're the kind of person that breaks things all the time, I would argue it's probably a better deal for Apple than it is for the consumer, but I'm going international. You're welcome in Spain. Oh, thank you. Getting warmer. Does satellite connectivity work when on a plane? I don't think so because you need direct line of sight of the sky. But they are adding more and more Starlink compatibility with airlines. So your phone, I don't think, will need to connect to a satellite from a plane because the airplane will do it for you. Would you ever try a Pixel phone? I have, Drop Dead. It's been a while, but yes, I reviewed. I think the last one was the Pixel 8, which was a really good deal. But spoiler, since you guys are watching live, I'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek. I ordered a phone recently, an Android phone, and it has shipped. And it's not going to get here until this weekend, and I'm going to be gone this weekend, so porch thieves, be warned. I have a gun. No, but I've got a phone coming, and I want to spend an extended period of time with it. And it's an Android phone, but it's one that I'm pretty tempted by, that I'm pretty excited about. So it may or may not fold. It's been a while since I've reviewed one, but I just feel like now's kind of more quiet in the news cycle. Now's the time to do it because as we get closer to iPhone season, for one, I'm going to get really, really busy and not going to have much time to cover Android phones, but also I'm going to be out of the country, basically right up until the launch of the new iPhone. So I'm not in Team Pixel. No. I'm not in Team Pixel, but I do want to check out a new Android phone. New-ish. But will the podcast be coming back? We got to find a good time routinely to record them. But at this point, I don't have a guaranteed timeline on it. Is Mike still watching? Mike, should we do it tonight? We're bringing it back. Maybe we'll just do it once a year. Let's just jump straight to the finale. We're going to do the welcome back and the final episode simultaneously. But yeah, everyone's busy and everyone's got things going on, so it's very difficult for all of us to sync up our schedules. But I will say, if you're curious to what Randy's up to, he has been crushing it lately on the Randy Nexus. He's been doing all kinds of great tech videos I've been watching. Every single one I've watched in their entirety. Even the longer ones are fun. So if you feel like you're not getting enough Tailosive Tech podcast, because we haven't done one in forever, obviously, and you miss Randy's perspective, well, Randy's perspective is available on the Randy Nexus, and oftentimes I feel like he kind of makes videos in response to videos I make, not directly, but they're adjacent sometimes, so it's hard for us to sync up and record all simultaneously, but I do think you can get a lot of Randy's great content over there, so check him out. I'll join tonight. I'm bored out of my mind. Nice. Any afterthoughts about the iPhone foldable? The more I'm thinking about it, the more interested I'm getting in it, I guess. It's very weird because I know not that long ago I was doing videos about why foldables suck and they're not the future. But maybe it's because I've just gotten, just like Alpha's saying, I've gotten very bored with present-day smartphones. And they're just getting so minor incremental in their updates. And I'm realizing that this launch of a folding iPhone is a rare thing. This is not the kind of thing that's going to happen every year. It's very unusual for Apple to redesign the form factor of the iPhone. So I'm realizing this could be like a once-in-a-decade type product. And after so many years of pretty small upgrades between the iPhone 13, 14, 15, all just being kind of reskins of each other. I mean, the biggest deal with the iPhone 15, in my opinion, was the USB-C port. And that was not even Apple's idea. That was a European Union mandate. So the fact that Apple might actually come up with something that lets me have a little mini iPad that fits in my pocket and I can get the mini screen back that I've always wanted, but still have the option for a big screen, that excites me. Like, especially knowing that the durability has improved so much. There was a lot of compromises in the early days with foldables that kind of made them hard to justify. The creases and the durability and the battery life not being all that great, and of course the price being high. And it seems like a lot of that might have gone away with this upcoming foldable. But let's see. Actem, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. How do you feel about 16 Pro Max so far? Would you switch to 16 Pro? Why or why not? I'm fine with the Max. I don't really need the 16 Pro. I tend to like phones that are extra small, really portable, or really big. I like them being saturated. The 6.1 or the 6.3 inch screen size, to me, is just like too middle ground. It doesn't feel massive, so it doesn't feel like you're getting this gargantuan screen that you can fill so much content on, but it also doesn't feel super portable, so I'm weird like that. Most people like kind of the middle of the ground, but I'm more of the like go big or go small. I don't need to go right in the middle. So I like the 16 Pro Max for the most part. I still think camera control was a big joke. Apple Intelligence was a huge disappointment. And I still have bugs. Let's see if I can get it right now. If I launch the camera... Oh, okay, now it's working fine. There are many times where something comes up, like a car, special, unique car, or there's a bird that's flying by, or a helicopter, I don't know, where I quickly want to get my camera out and start taking a picture or video. And there's been many times over the course of ownership with this phone where it's been frozen at a crucial moment, and I'll try to launch the camera and it's just black. And it doesn't matter if I switch the lenses. Even if I close the app and open it again, it's still black. And it's the most frustrating thing, especially knowing that this is the top of the line, best of the best, most expensive iPhone. Having the camera freeze during those vital moments is very frustrating. But that's about it. Aside from that, it's been a good phone. Battery's good, display's nice. Face ID still works, but it's not anything particularly horrible with this, but I just think the 15 Pro was fine too. I could easily live with a 15 Pro. I don't think the 16 Pro was necessary for me. There's nothing they included on this phone that to me is worthy of upgrading from a 15 Pro. Let's see. Have you seen the promo art for the new Vince Gilligan Apple TV Plus sci-fi show coming out? Sounds awesome, and we'll have Kim Wexler in it. I know, yeah. I'm a huge fan of Vince Gilligan, and I thought already blanking on her name, but yeah, we can just call her Kim Wexler, the Better Call Saul actress. She was amazing. Better Call Saul is one of my favorite TV shows of all time, so it's going to be really hard to top it, though, is my thing. Vince Gilligan's extremely talented. I give him credit for that, but this is the first time in a while that he's going to be making content outside of the Breaking Bad universe. So I'm cautiously optimistic, but still kind of like, yeah, how do you top that, though? That was such an amazing universe, and now I don't know if you're going to be able to make something as good or as exciting. Maybe he's got a good trick up his sleeve. We'll see. But I'm very curious for sure. What is the best site for making an AI-generated film on a Mac? I don't know about AI. You know, there's a lot of things it's good at, but I just tried one today. Someone recommended to me because I was like showing the channel members can attest. Like I've edited videos for a long time, and I have to cut out all the dead air and then take out the retakes and stuff like that. And someone messaged me saying, Drew, you've been saying, like, can an AI take out the dead air and take out the mistakes? And there's finally a AI video editor that actually does that. You got to try it. So I looked into it. It's not super well known, but it's called Gling, I think it's pronounced. Let me check my downloads. Yeah, Gling AI editor. And the idea that they pitched, which sounded really cool in theory, and I tried it, which is that you can download this editor, you throw a video clip in, and it automatically cuts out the dead air, and it cuts out the mistakes. And then I was like, wow, that would save me a lot of time, because that's what I spent a lot of time doing after I'm finished editing. So I was willing to give it a shot, because that could save me a lot of time, but very first attempt, I threw in a video file that I recorded for a video I'm doing today, and for one, it was not cutting close enough to the dead air, so it immediately felt much slower than my typical editing style. It felt like there's too much breathing and just, I don't know, it wasn't paced quick enough. It's hard to articulate, but it was immediately noticeable that it was edited by AI, and it was not taking out the mistakes the way it said it could. It was not good at identifying the clips that weren't supposed to be in the timeline. And it also made it surprisingly complicated to add B-roll. I was just trying to drag pictures into the timeline and it wouldn't accept them. And I was like, okay, this is very basic things that I'm trying to do. And it's already like, no, you have to go into this folder and hit import files. And then from there, you can drag those files into the timeline. And I was like, no, 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 no. I edit so quick. I edit so much. I need to be able to drag those files directly from Finder or from downloads and throw them in the timeline like that. Yeah, there's no breathing allowed in the Tailosive editing universe. You gotta cut quickly, but it's also not just about the editing. It's also just the way I record and the way I talk. It didn't work with its style. Like, I know some people think I edit things to be too quickly and I should let there be breaths, but with the way I film, it didn't look right. The pacing was off, and again, it was leaving in mistakes anyway. So I was like, yeah, cool idea, but also, of course, I was going to have to pay for it to actually use it routinely. They had like a free trial that I was trying out, but it was like you could only edit like an hour or something of content per day, or I don't know. There was a limit on it, and I was going to have to pay a membership to actually, if it was perfect, even if it was perfect, it was going to cost me money to use compared to Final Cut. So tried it, was like, no, it's not there yet, but that was the closest I'd ever seen to a video editing software that could actually replace me, or do a lot of what takes up a decent amount of time. But how long until they bring Apple Intelligence to Final Cut? I don't know. Hopefully a while, because I fear that if they do, they're probably going to start asking for money for it. They should create an iPhone 17 Pro Mini. I bet a good amount of people would buy it. Yeah, it's basically what the iPhone Fold is going to be. It's going to be a Pro phone that's really small. It just happens to unfold into a bigger phone. Yeah. Maybe they should alternate. They should do 1 year with a Plus or an Air, and then the next year they could do a Mini, just as a compensation. But how's the Model Y been doing with the replacement battery in it? Glad service was better this time. Yeah, it's all great. All back to normal. Nothing out of the usual. I'm about to take it on a road trip right now. Let's see. 6.3 inch today is the equivalent of 5.8 inch back in the day. Bezel simply shrank. That's true. I remember when 4.7 inches was a big deal on the iPhone. 100% agree. 6.1 inches is too big to be used comfortable with one hand, and you don't get much more usable screen space. Yeah, I'm glad you agree. Burkhart says, I'm still of the opinion that a good phone and a good tablet are the more sensible option, but I can get your perspective. And I don't even think you're wrong. I think for most people, especially if you're on a budget, a tablet is going to be a better tablet than a foldable, hands down. Even a cheap tablet. Even a $400 iPad is probably going to be a better iPad than the folding one. But I am interested just for the sake of, it sounds bad, but change for the sake of change. Yeah, I want Apple to explore a new avenue, even if it ends up not being that great. I just want them to do something different for once, because they've been doing a lot of the same thing over and over again. So I'm ready for a change up. I'm ready for them to shake things up a bit and see what the advantages are, see what the disadvantages are, and then we can come to a conclusion once it's out. But I just want the discussion to be had, about whether or not this folding phone makes sense or who it makes sense for. I would rather have that discussion than just unbox the exact same iPhone again for another year, which is probably what's going to happen for the next 10 years after the folding phone comes out. Where it's just like, wow, the bezels are thinner again. Oh boy. I need a big phone and a big tablet. I've yet to see a foldable accomplish that. Yeah, that's fair. And you'll probably always be able to get a bigger tablet if it doesn't fold, so fair enough. Anyway, I gotta get going. Hey, my cousin's in the chat. Belle says hi. Hello, Miss Belle. Thank you for tuning in to the live stream. We gotta see you guys again. Hopefully not too distant future. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, Liz. And we'll hopefully not be too long, but I'll have a new phone to unbox next week, which I'm very excited to dive into. And more than just unbox, it'll have to unfold. Comment your guesses. What are we unboxing next week? I'll tell the channel members. I'll confirm it for the channel members. Anywho, take care all. Have a good day. Bye-bye.